Welcome to my algebra class. We're on chapter 8, section 7, part B. There is no vocabulary to explain. So turn to page 381, and we're starting with number 23. So make sure you have your heading, title down, skip a line, fold the paper in half. So problem number 24, continuing solving functions for various values. So 24 is g, where we take t and pair it with 5t squared minus 7t. So a, g at 3, we plug in 3 for t, so it's going to be 3 squared minus 7 times 3. 3 squared is 9, 9 times 5 is 45. And 7 times 3 is 21. And if we subtract 21 from 45, we get 24. B, we have g at negative 3. Skip a line for this one. So we're going to put in negative 3 for t, so it's negative 3 squared minus 7 times negative 3. Negative 3 squared is positive 9 times 5, we get 45 again. Negative 7 times the negative 3 is positive 21. So we add those together and get 66. And then C, g at 0. So that's going to be 5 times quantity 0 squared minus 7 times 0. Everything goes to 0, so we have 0. Problem number 26, the function is m that pairs y with y times 1 minus 2y. First problem, A, m at negative 1/2. So we're going to plug in negative 1/2. So negative 1/2 times the quantity 1 minus 2 times negative 1/2. Working in the grouping symbols first, a negative 2 times the negative 1/2 is positive. And we can cancel the 2, so we get 1 plus 1. The negative times the negative makes positive 1. So that's negative 1/2 times 2. We can cancel the 2's, and we get negative 1. B, skip a line. We're evaluating m at 1/2. So now we have 1/2 times 1 minus 2 times 1/2. The 2 and the 1/2, the 2's cancel, so we get 1/2 times 1 minus 1, which is 0, and 1/2 of 0 is 0. And C, m at 0. So we're going to have 0 times 1 minus 2 times 0. Since the 0's multiplying everything, the answer is 0. Problem number 28. The function is q that pairs m with the absolute value of 3 minus 6 times m. And A, we have q at negative 2. So we have the absolute value of 3 minus 6 times negative 2. So working inside the absolute value symbols, negative 6 times negative 2 is positive 12. So we have the absolute value of 15, which equals 15. Be sure you work out everything inside and then take the absolute value at the end. B, we have q at 1/2. So we have the absolute value of 3 minus 6 times 1/2. 2 goes into 6, 3, so we have the absolute value of 3 minus 3, which is the absolute value of 0, which equals 0. And then last for this one, we have q at negative 1/2. So it's the absolute value of 3 minus 6 times a negative 1/2. We cancel, and we get negative 3 times negative 1, so that's going to be 3 plus 3. So we have the absolute value of 6, which equals 6. For the following, 29 through 40, for each function, find f at 0 and then solve f of x equals 0. That's where we set the function equal to 0. So there are two parts for each of these problems. Number 30, the function is f of x equals 4x plus 7. The first part is to evaluate the function at 0. So we're going to plug in 0. And we get 0 plus 7, which is 7. The second part, skip a line, is to set this whole function equal to 0. So 0 equals 4x plus 7 and solve for x. So we subtract 7 from both sides and divide by 4. So x equals negative 7/4. So in the second part, we're looking to see what value of x makes this thing equal to 0. Number 32, our function is f of x equals 2 minus 3x. So the first part is to evaluate at f at 0. So 2 minus 3 times 0 is equal to 2 minus 0, which is 2. Second part, set the function, which is this, equal to 0. So 0 equals 2 minus 3x. So we're trying to find out what value of x makes this 0. So solve the two-step problem. Subtract 2 first. So we get negative 2 equals negative 3x. Divide by negative 3. And we find out that 2/3 would work. If I put 2/3 in here, it would cancel with the 3, and I get 2 minus 2, which makes 0. 34, we have f of x equals 3 minus 1/2 x. First part is to evaluate the function at 0. So we take 3 minus 1/2 times 0. 0 times the 1/2 is 0, so we get 3. Part B, set this function equal to 0. So 0 equals 3 minus 1/2 x, and solve for x. So we undo subtraction first, subtract 3. We get negative 3 equals negative 1/2 x. Multiply both sides by negative 2. And we get 6 equals x, with negative 2 and the negative 1/2 cancel out. Problem number 36. The function is f of x equals x squared minus 13x plus 40. First evaluate it at f at 0. So 0 squared minus 13 times 0 plus 40. These two become zeros, so our answer is simply 40. That's part A. Part B, we're going to set the function equal to 0. And if you carefully look at this, we have a quadratic function, so we have to factor. So the product, there's a 1 in front of the 1x squared, so you just be product is 40. Sum is negative 13. The factors of 40, 1 and 40 don't work, 2 and 20 don't work, 4 and 10 don't work, 5 and 8 do work, and they're both negative. So we factor it into two binomials. The square root of x squared is x, and one of these is minus 8 and one's minus 5. So our solution is 8 and 5. So when you do number 35, you have some factoring to do, and the same with 37. Okay, we're on 38. Functions f of x equals x plus 1 over x minus 2. First step, A, is to evaluate the function at 0. So we have 0 plus 1 over 0 minus 2, which comes out negative 1/2. Part B is to set the function equal to 0, so 0 equals x plus 1 over x minus 2. And we can use cross products. So 0 times x minus 2 is 0, and 1 times x plus 1 is x plus 1. Subtract 1 from both sides, and negative 1 will make this come out 0. Problem number 40. We have f of x equals x squared minus 3x plus 2 divided by x plus 1. First step, evaluate the function at 0. So we get 0 squared minus 3 times 0 plus 2 over 0 plus 1. This is 0, so we end up with 2 over 1, which is 2. And then part B, set the function equal to 0. And if we use cross products, 0 times x plus 1 is 0. And 1 times x squared minus 3x plus 2 is 3. Is that quadratic? So again, we have a quadratic, and we have to factor it. The product is 2 times 1 or 2. The sum is negative 3. The only factors of 2 are 1 and 2, and they both need to be negative to make a sum of negative 3. So our factors are, or binomials are, square root of x squared is x. One of them is minus 1, one is minus 2. So using our zero product property, 1 makes that 0, and 2 makes that, and those are our solutions. 41 through 44, you're given function f of x, which is equal to 3x plus 4, and g of x, which is equal to negative x squared. And we're going to evaluate these functions. So 42 says 2 of f of times f at negative 5. All right, remember that f is 3x plus 4. So we're going to take 2 times that function with 5 substituted for x. So it'd be 3 times 5 plus 4. 3 times 5 is 15 plus 4 is 19, so we have 2 times 19, which is 38. 44, we have f at 2 times g at 2. Now remember, g is the function g at x is to take the opposite of x squared. So let's do f at 2. So we're going to put 2 into this function. So we have 3 times 2 plus 4, which is 6 plus 4, which is 10. Then we're going to do g at 2, which is the opposite of 2 squared, which is negative 4. So it's 10 times negative 4, which is negative 40. And then in problems 45 and 46, we're going to use f of x equals x squared, and g of x equals 2x. And we're going to do what they call a composition of a function, where they have a function of a function. So if that happens, you work out the inside function first, and whatever number you get, you put into that function on the outside. So A, we have g of negative 2. So that means we're going to plug in negative 2 to that function. So 2 times negative 2 is negative 4. Skip a line. B, we have f at negative 2. So this time we're going to plug in negative 2 to this function. So negative 2 squared. Negative 2 times negative 2 is positive 4. C, we have g of f of negative 2. So that we first evaluate the function f at negative 2. And we have that answer. It's 4. So now we have g of 4. So that means we plug in 4 into this function right here. So that's going to be 4 squared, which is 16. I goofed. I'm looking at the wrong one. That's 2 times x. Sorry about that. So that'd be 2 times 4, which is 8. And then the last one, D, they just turned around the functions. It's f of g of negative 2. And that was worked out in part A. So g of negative 2 we found out was negative 4. So it's f of negative 4. And then the function f takes the number and squares it, so it'd be negative 4 squared, which is 16. That concludes the evens. Be sure you check the back of the book for the answers to the odds.